Welcome everyone to Nerd of the Rings. I have a co-host for tonight. You recognize him from the live chat usually because he has a little blue wrench next to his name. Keaton, how's it going, man?
Hello, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for having me.
So I'm pretty pumped about tonight's main topic because I think it's a really interesting one.
Yes.
And I think folks will have a wide range of thoughts. And I think there's with a lot of things that are announced regarding Tolkien, whether it's adaptations or mostly adaptations. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's reasons to be skeptical and there's reasons to be excited. So last week there was an article posted, and this is from Deadline, and they are quoting the IP broker who helped make the Embracer Group deal happen. So he's an IP broker who helps, I don't know, cross T's and dot I's, I guess. But he said there's a few quotes from here that folks have kind of really caught on to, like Lord of the Rings is one of around 6 pieces of IP of this magnitude on the planet. And what else? Oh, the big quote, which is in the title of the stream here, is that it could rival Marvel and Star Wars. So what? Yeah, see, you've already got. What are all these ads? Oh my gosh, Deadline! Come on, you're killing me. So Embracer. So for those who don't know, Embracer, they're very active in gaming. They own a lot of gaming companies. So a lot of folks have immediately thought like the first step that we'll likely see play out is a kind of an influx of video games, which you've already got a couple on the horizon. We've got that Gollum game and Return to Moria.
I mean, gosh, how many mobile games have we gotten? I think there's another one of those in development too.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of mobile games.
Yeah, I confess.
I kind of like, I honestly, so when Return to Moria was first announced, I thought it was a mobile game, and so I ignored it. And it wasn't until later that I was like, oh no, this actually looks legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of mobile games personally.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of, okay, so I'm sure some would say all video games are a waste of time, but mobile games I feel like especially waste my time.
Yeah,
I'm not actually accomplishing anything.
Just the majority of the highly commercialized mobile games are obviously pay to win, pay to play, it's just kind of not accessible.
Yeah. And so this article does mention, the gaming part of this. And it was interesting too. So I'll kind of hit some of the highlights here. They say that the deal was so secret they were interviewed in the dark and didn't know what the asset was. So they're very cagey, basically just saying this is a long-established asset that has gone through multiple people's hands, and we had to make sure we understood what we had and didn't have. So yeah. So it's kind of interesting. It kind of goes with a lot of things we've seen around, adaptations and whatnot with Middle Earth is like, there's a level of secrecy involved, but I can understand like an IP this big, as much as I hate the term IP.
I know.
And for those who don't know, that's intellectual property. So basically like franchises and, like Star Wars is an IP. And
I also see the word metaverse and get really nervous.
Yeah, I don't really understand that.
Could be cool for sure. I know they did a not that it was meta, but I think there was an Oculus experience recently where you could stand in Khazad-dûm.
Yeah, I saw it was just like standing.
That's cool to me.
Yeah,
that's cool to me.
Yeah. I think so. I have played a bit of, we're gonna be cross-referencing a lot with other fandoms because that's part of the topic tonight, but we're also looking to what other IPs have done and like how that could fit well with Middle Earth and how it might not. Patriot, thanks for the super sticker. So yeah, I've played a little bit of that Vader Immortal game, the VR game, which was really good. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So yeah, I do wonder if maybe we might get some Middle Earth VR. That could be kind of cool. I really I'm most excited about the video game. Like they talk about that right off the bat, the video game possibilities, and I'm still holding out for that open world RPG.
I'm right there with you, especially as someone who poured, and I'm sure many people in this chat have too, like countless hours into games like Skyrim, and then you've got games like, Lord of the Rings Online. I think a happy medium between those two would be really well received.
Absolutely. Yeah, they even so they did bring up metaverses, and it was interesting. They kind of, they say you disappear for 10 hours and are active in that environment.
Yeah.
But then they also kind of tie that into gaming, because they say, like they make the point that like gaming is already like that, where you know, launch up a video game. It's not the same as metaverse. I don't think. I haven't spent much time like with the metaverse thing. It's like,
I mean, I guess in a sense,
I'm old school, and if I want to disappear, I'll pull open a book and I'll read it and I'll escape in my mind.
You need to blow on the cartridge, then put it in. Start playing that way. I think something. I mean, if we're talking, if you and I could put on a headset and step into the Shire and take a walk down to the Green Dragon, etc., and the metaverse, that I think that's great. But I don't know what else is coming along with metaverse. Like, I just would much rather have a headset on and talk to someone over Discord and play a game like we've always been used to playing, maybe. So
I saw a couple of folks asking where my season recap video is. I'm still working on that. I haven't started my rewatch. I've been distracted by things like taking a break, for one, but also Tales of the Jedi and Andor kind of have taken up a bit of my time. I've been diving into
hiatus.
I took a little hiatus from streaming some Lord of the Rings stuff. So that'll be upcoming. Shout out to Daniel Green in the chat. He says, in my opinion, Lord of the Rings can't surpass Marvel due to the nature of its style. Pop IPs are so big due to being flashy, fun popcorn flicks. Lord of the Rings ain't that, and making that angers its OG fans. Darned if you do / don't.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I mean, because it's like the double-edged sword, right? You want more, but you don't want quantity to overtake quality.
Exactly.
And I think that's especially the case for Tolkien.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that was part of the conversation. I mean, that's why people freaked out over the Netflix pitched a Tolkien verse or whatever, if you will.
Yeah. It makes you glad that they didn't do that a bit.
Yeah, but at the same time, if we could get a lot, I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I know, we haven't gotten like War of the Rohirrim yet, so I can't really speak on that. But if we got a bunch of, quality works, I couldn't be mad about that. But the risk might, I don't know.
I think where I've kind of landed on this for now, because I keep going back and forth on where I land, like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Like, in reality, it's probably in the middle, and like we're gonna get, a mixture of both. I do like the idea of not having to wait super long between adaptations. Like just the fact that we have a TV show and a movie both in development at the same time is kind of crazy. But I think you touched on something that a lot of fans, might land on, and it's that, like, I don't just want quantity. So, like, to go the full Marvel route, for instance, where they're pumping out movies and TV shows like crazy, and you get
Right.
this wide range. Like I'll be honest, I haven't watched the last couple Marvel things just because there's so many to keep up with, and yeah, I've just after Endgame, I was one of the casualties of Endgame where it was like, well, okay,
Fell off.
this seems like a good off ramp for me.
Sure.
I've
Yeah.
caught some things though.
Yeah.
I've watched like Loki and I think Hawkeye, and I can't even
Right.
remember what else. I'll definitely watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they would have to like come to some kind of a balance where you're not trying to keep up pace with those, and it's more of a focus on, you know, quality over quantity, not to the extreme where you're only producing a film every, 5 or 6 years. But I think there's a happy middle ground there that could be had.
And I think there is I would say dangerous even trope that big IP television is falling into right now, where you have to do homework before you watch the next big installment. In terms of like, I mean, it's like we're talking about with certain Marvel projects, you never know. I mean, there could be nothing that happens relevant to the next Avengers until, let's say, the end credit scene of episode 6 of an 8-episode series. But then you have to like, you don't know that necessarily, and you have to watch up to that point just to understand the next movie. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's. What do you think? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of over. You're asking people to do a little too much.
Yeah. I like, I like what like War of the Rohirrim is a good Tolkien example where it's a self-contained tale. You have a little bit of homework beforehand wouldn't hurt, but I have a feeling you could jump into that film having only seen the Peter Jackson films, and you'll get it. You'll understand it. It sounds like they're using Aowen Miranda Otto's coming back as a frame narrative there.
Weta, all those people.
Yeah. Weta, that's always a win too. Like they have people from the original trilogy working on it, which is a clear cut, like such an easy win. But yeah, and then in terms of like, I've enjoyed so far Andor for the most part, and the fact that it's like there's nods and stuff like Yularen is one that like if you know who that is, that's significant. But if you don't know who he is, like he's just an important guy, so it doesn't require it's not as big of an ask. Shout out to Tolkien Collector's Guide. I wonder if that's Jeremy or one of the other folks. The rights are so messy for tentpole movies and TV shows. There's no freedom like Disney has with outright ownership of Marvel and Star Wars. I like that he's misspelled Marvel to Marcel, because that makes me think of Marcel, our friend who's the Tolkienist. So Disney owns Marcel. There you go, guys. You heard it from.
Dang, that's gonna be tough news to break. That's gonna be tough news to break to Marcel.
But yeah, that's a good point too. Like these are it's likely Embracer's going to license these out. Like I don't think Embracer is going to build a studio themselves. They're going to license stuff out to others. Feanor, Dirk, grateful to witness the first official nerd moot. It already feels like we're all summoned to the Mahanaxar. Great to see you both, Matt and Keaton.
Hello.
Well, thanks, Dirk.
My friend.
Dirk woke up in the middle of the night to join us here. Tales of the Jedi is amazing. It is.
I really liked it. I really, really did.
Yeah. It was very short. Like that was the one thing.
I know. I think that made the pacing a little weird at certain points.
Yeah.
But the Dooku stuff in particular, just because I think that did the lead. I know there's a lot of talk right now about the published canon, and I think some people are kind of perturbed, if you will, about some changes. But I think Dooku's line kind of avoided that, and it's really good.
Yeah. Also, folks, hit that like button. Come on now.
You're already here.
We don't. Yeah, you're already here. What else do you have better to do? I have a 15-second delay. It's in slow mode so that you have time to hit the like button. Michael Reel, thanks for the super chat. So Rings of Power question. We made it.
Boy.
Oh, we
We made
almost
it like 18 minutes.
16 minutes in.
Yeah.
When the flesh over skin quote happened with Celebrimbor, he acted all weird and said maybe he heard it from an old elven smith. What if that's true and he didn't hear it from Halbrand? Part 1.
Think you heard from Halbrand.
Now I'm curious to see what part 2 is. If has he done a part 2? I don't think so yet. Okay. So he probably wants us to answer that first, and then maybe that'll bring up part 2. Okay. So I think because that's a direct quote of Adar's about Sauron, that he certainly did hear that from Halbrand.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they were already spending time together.
Yeah. And I think his absent-mindedness, kind of like people were saying, it was very Bilbo-esque in we see him in Fellowship where it's like, oh, isn't that odd now?
Yeah.
It's like Bilbo, dude. You like, yeah, the ring's in your pocket, man. So yeah, like, and knowing that Sauron like pours part of his own essence into the ring, I like to think that that's like, again, just like a headcanon thing, but like that's an effect that he has on people or can have on people, and that he passes that element to the ring.
I'm back.
Oh yeah, you're frozen there. Your video's still frozen. There we go. Go.
All good.
Yeah, so I think that's I don't think that's actually one of the other Elven Smiths. I think that's Halbrand doing some, Sauron doing some magic on him.
I was also going to say that I don't remember. I mean, I have to go back and watch, but I don't think the episode specifically kind of fills us in on how much time is passing between like each of these moments in Eregion.
No.
So, I mean,
and that was one of my big frustrations was like the Eregion stuff came and went so fast.
Yeah.
Like, there was no, at one point Elrond is saying they have like 3 months, and then another point Elrond is telling Celebrimbor 3 weeks or something, or Celebrimbor's telling Elrond 3 weeks, and so it's like, so did you just spend the last 2 months there, or are we moving up? Like, it was just so unclear, and it felt so crammed in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, that was one of my big frustrations. Like, I think they have to go, and not to go down, because we could probably go down a Rings of Power trail like crazy here. Yeah. But like I felt like we needed more time in Eregion. Like we had a couple exteriors and a couple bits with Elrond and Celebrimbor, and that was it. And then like this huge, massive, important thing happens there. And it felt like it went by really fast. And like, I never got like a sense of scale of that. I mean, I shouldn't, maybe not scale. But like, I never got a sense of place, where we were at either of these times. Like, we had the big, wide, massive, wide shots. And this is the case for like a lot of the locations. Like, we got these big, massive, wide shots, but I felt like we were missing some of those shots that give you a sense of where you are in the city. It's just like, okay, now we're at this place, interior place. Now we're at this interior place. It's like, but where, where's the sense of scale to make it feel like it's connected to that big wide shot that I saw?
Yeah. Funny enough, the trilogy does that really well. And
they do.
Both of Gandalf's arrivals to Minas Tirith and the Fellowship when he goes to the archives, and in Return of the King, I remember specifically. Especially
in Return of the King.
When he's going up the rings. So yeah.
Yes. And you always have that sense. And they have a good habit, I feel like, of having those I'm gonna call it like a medium shot, even though it's not a true medium shot, but like that middle ground shot where it's not like this super wide epic city wide shot, but it's like somewhere in between to give you a sense of where they are in the city, which the trilogy does really well. Sam Cook, hi to Matt and Keaton from Maine. Hello, Sam, thanks for joining in. Oh, here's part 2. Michael has part 2. But he did hear it from an old elven smith, Anatar, a long time ago, and that form was killed by Adar.
Oh, little. I mean, who knows at this point? But I would like to hope that we have a form of Anatar still coming.
I think we have to. Like
I hope so.
that would be such a weird thing to not have. Like that's what everyone is and was expecting, I think, for this season. It's certainly what I was expecting for this season. And I've made no secret that I was really disappointed that we didn't get Anatar. And it's part of the reason why I think we have to get it in season 2. Like I think that there's definitely, because we didn't see the 16 other rings.
Right.
Like I think it would have been a natural progression to have the 16 rings building up to the elves making the 3. Obviously
sure.
they chose to go a different way. But I think, in order for a Region to fall and for that to have any kind of emotional impact, we've got to spend a lot more time in a Region. We've got to spend more time with Celebrimbor. And I think he needs to spend time and be fully duped by Sauron in a way that hasn't been conveyed.
Yeah, especially if that's the 2-episode battle.
Right, yeah.
next
Which I would
season.
imagine it probably
Has to
is.
be. Oh, yeah. Yep. All good thoughts. Remind me, I was thinking back to a point that we were talking about with the MCU is that about the homework thing. As much as you can, like, at least with Tolkien, you can go and read a set amount of text that exists out there, at least ones to get you most of the points. I mean,
Yeah.
not counting all the letters and stuff, but the comics, like Marvel comics, I mean, could you ever I mean, it's like the old Star Wars expanded universe. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
contradictions, convolutions, like
Right.
you kind of pick what you want to read and read it, you know?
Yeah. I wanted to bring this up. So I don't know, like the rights around Tolkien stuff is such a mess. So I don't know if this is accurate. This is so Tolkien Collector's Guide says Warner Brothers have the movie license, but have to keep making movies to keep the license active. So
It's
if they
true.
cancel War of the Rohirrim, the license reverts to Embracer to give to another studio. So I don't know if that's true, because I've also heard that they have a license for a set number of films.
Right.
And that War of the Rohirrim might be the last one. I don't like. I've heard so many rumors around this that I've almost, I wish it was as cut and dry
Yeah.
as like, for all the, you can debate whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. But when Disney bought Star Wars, it was very cut and dry to understand what was like, okay, whatever they say is like the canon now, where
yeah.
and like they have
Yeah.
the rights to the movies, so like whatever movies are gonna come, it's gonna come from Disney. Whereas like Tolkien stuff is just all over the place. It's a
Everywhere.
mess. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's another thing too, because you don't, I mean, if that's true, if Warner Brothers Animation does have to make a movie, I mean, I think in general that's probably a good rule to have in place, just because I mean, you don't want to just someone to hold on to the rights forever
Oh, for
because they
sure.
haven't made their
Yeah.
last movie, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you want it to be a really good project, so you
Yeah.
need time. So I don't know.
I mean, I think War of the Rohirrim has given themselves enough of a
Yeah,
runway to make a
seems so.
quality product. I think
Definitely
that's
seems so.
not till spring 2024.
Have they? I don't remember. Have they said anything about the score for that film yet?
I don't think they have. I
Would
would
be
almost be
curious.
willing to bet that they will bring back Howard Shore.
I
Like
mean, if they've got
they've
like
brought they
Philippa, Fran,
yeah. Well, I don't think they have Fran. They have
it's just
Philippa.
Philippa. Okay.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember. Philippa's daughter's working on it as well.
Maybe that's what it was then. Okay.
But I think Philippa is maybe executive producing. I'd have to go back and look. I can't. Maybe somebody in the chat knows off the top of their head. But yeah, and they've got Weta. So like Richard
Yeah.
Taylor's and his team are working on it, which is great. They're bringing Miranda Otto back as a narrator, which is
Yep.
awesome. Yeah. So Like it seems like hiring Howard Shore is like the low-hanging fruit, easy win, you know, that they'll announce later and people will
Yeah.
freak out and it'll be awesome.
Yeah, they just need to make a cut and like they need to make a for sure announcement because there was that whole thing about Rings of Power where it was like, oh, Howard Shore's back, and then we're like,
Yeah.
but also Bear McCreary is on it. So what's, I mean,
Right.
just
It was
announce
it was
just
very
announce it.
much up in the air for a long time. Yeah. We didn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
Excellion of Zune says, one issue I have with Rings of Power is the fact that anyone survives the pyroclastic flow from the eruption. I've heard the term pyroclastic flow
that's to say.
more than any scientific term I've ever heard regarding a show. I think you're froze, Keaton.
Am I again? You hear me?
Yeah, just your video. We've got your audio, so
Agreed.
you can just keep
Cool.
talking.
I think it's
Yeah, like I've said this before, yeah, knowing the science behind it, it's like, oh yeah, that's people be dead, but I mean that kind of stuff happens in movies a lot, guys.
I survive a pyroclastic flow in Minecraft all the time. I'm all right.
Oh,
Like,
that's a good point. Yeah, so like, I have gripes about the show, and like pyroclastic flow doesn't even crack the top 10 for me.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Almost at 1 million. Yeah, we're getting
that's
there.
true. That's true.
860K right now. During the 7th. Nice. I like that screen name. That username. During the 7th. Very important. Durin. Recolonized Moria, after all. Thanks for the super chat. Given the recent rumor that Amazon has already chosen a spin-off story and characters, could this jumpstart a Tolkien verse like we're discussing? I actually have not heard that they already have a spin-off story and characters.
It sounds familiar, but I can't
Yeah,
confirm. It doesn't
that's interesting.
sound. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll say I hope that for any of these, as we're talking about, the possibility, the main topic of the night. I hope anyone takes a lesson from looking at early Marvel and early DC. I will say the phrase that I always use is "walk before you can run," and
Yeah.
I think Marvel, they came out with like their single, hero movies, and then they did the team up, and DC, I feel like was a good counter argument to that. How they like tried to have it all at once, and it did not work. And there's a lot of moving pieces, whether a film or a series of films are good or not. But I think there's something to be said before walking. There's something to be said for walking before you can run. So I would make sure you are on really solid footing with your first adaptation before moving forward with any second or third. Mighty Mim, Jennifer Hutchinson recently came out with a reason as to why the Elven rings were forged first. Thoughts?
I don't even know if I've read it, if I'm honest. On her Twitter?
Read it.
On what?
Yeah, I think it's on Twitter. Well, actually, I think it was an interview. Yeah, basically saying I think her overall point was like that they're really focusing on the elves. All right, I'm gonna try to pull this up, Mighty Mim, so because I don't want to misquote or anything.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Okay, so I'll just read. Yeah, I'll read this little part. It's not that long. Okay. So the question she was posed was, in Tolkien's canon, he wrote that 11 elven rings were forged last. In Rings of Power, they're forged before the humans and dwarves get theirs. What was the reason for this change? And actually, guys, all the rings were made for elves. Boom. But there was a change in plan. Anyway, so Jennifer's response was, so much of the season was about the elves and their journey and Galadriel's journey and the fading of Eregion. So we wanted to tie those rings into that story. It was about narrowing our focus down on them and having those rings cap off the season because we had to make rings. It felt like the climax of that arc as opposed to trying to manage the timeline in a different way. Thoughts?
Was most of the season about Eregion though? I mean, I
Oh,
that's not
okay.
the,
So
yeah.
that's in okay, so I will say of Eregion is in brackets. So I think that's maybe
Oh,
what the author of the piece put, and maybe I mean I think what they meant, it was Eriador probably,
yeah, sure.
not Eregion.
Um,
Um yeah, I don't know if I and I mean obviously, their intention can be one thing and the way we read it could be another thing. So I'm not
yeah.
saying like that she's, not being truthful or anything like that. So don't, you
If
know,
we're talking
don't get it twisted.
urgency,
But I feel like saying that, like it felt to me like it was very much a divided story among all these storylines. Like
yeah,
maybe the elves you could say were like the main story, and like Galadriel was the main story, but there was a lot of stuff crammed into the season that at the same time felt like, you know, not as much was happening. It's this weird situation where like, there's a lot of
we
stuff going on, but nothing's happening kind of
we
thing.
s- it's like we sprinted to the elf rings, but we laid the foundation as to why people, why Numenorians and dwarves will accept their rings later.
Yeah.
I guess is kind of what happened.
I guess, yeah. I
Because
almost
clearly, yeah,
wonder, like because I always I keep going back to this academic exercise that I have in my head where it's like, okay, how would I have changed things? Like if and I try to stick myself with the parameters of, using the same characters and not
hmm
like, because I could obviously do like, okay, I'm going to scrap this whole thing and I'm going to say like, okay, if I were starting at ground zero, where, at square one, how would I do a second age story?
yeah,
But like, if you're playing with the pieces that they've set up, I could easily see where you could actually leave out Numenor and the Stranger and tell like the
hmm
other two stories that were at play and give them a lot more breathing room and have more time for character development and storylines that, where it felt like we were bouncing around so much that we didn't dive deep into, super deep into anything really.
yeah. No, I agree. I totally agree.
um yeah, I mean, I'm always going to lean toward, you know the way things are in the book. So I would have rather not had the mystery of Sauron's identity and it just been Anatar, and
hmm
like I know what's going on, but like I'm cool with that because I know the
Yeah,
story.
I think also the stranger storyline could have been like at max 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we
Yeah,
just
there was a section there where I thought like, okay, this feels like it's kind of like just sitting and idle, waiting for
right.
like the rest of the story to catch up so they can all be revealed at the same time at the end of the season and whatnot. Michael, once again, thanks for super chat. Once Adar got introduced, I super chatted that he could be Sauron's rival. Looks like that's how it is. How it is. Oh, it is now. Looks like that's how it
It
is
is what
now.
it is.
That's how it is. How do y'all feel? Oh, sorry. I'm
Breathe,
not good
breathe.
with punctuate like without punctuation. Um,
Short
that looks
circuiting.
like that looks like how it is. How do y'all feel about them
uh,
going up against each other?
I mean, as long as Adar gets swept, I don't really mind.
Yeah, I think he will, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't think Adar has got the upper hand that he thinks he got the first time.
Yeah. I'm curious if we'll get a flashback to that. Like,
Yeah,
because it
maybe.
sounds to me like he defeated Sauron's bodily form, and
Yeah.
Sauron's, you know, which again, this is like a made up thing, obviously, because the first time that actually happens is the fall of Numenor.
hmm
Um, and I hope that's not something they're gonna lean on too much. Like they can't use that.
Right.
Like I feel like if they use that the one time, they can't do it again until the fall of Numenor, and then they can't do it again after that until the War of the Last Alliance, because you can't just keep killing off Sauron, because each time, like, it's supposed to, kind of be a bigger deal for him to regain that bodily form.
Yeah.
Like after Fall of Numenor, he can't take on a fair form anymore. Like,
Right.
he's stuck in Sauron mode, like scary
Gotta
Sauron
armor up.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after he's defeated at the War of the Last Alliance, he's still missing his finger when he comes back. That the Isildur cuts off. Just one, not in the movies, like where they cut off his
like whole hand,
all four of them.
fingers.
Yeah. All right. Only stash of Twitch VOD.
And we're really in Rings of Power mode.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we really went down the rabbit hole here. Oh man, this is funny. We'll get back to the main topic,
will,
I'm sure, at some point.
Back.
One thing I'm so confused in Rings of Power is even Adar could speak Quenya. Isn't it a language only learnt by few, and most of the elves in Middle-earth speak Sindarin?
This is a big gripe of the series, actually.
Yeah, because it seems like everyone, but there are a couple Sindarin phrases.
This is Thingol erasure.
Yeah. Like, ironically, so I remember pointing this out in a breakdown, in the episode where Mount Doom erupts at the end. There are two Sindarin phrases in that episode, and they are both spoken to horses.
Right. It seems that they speak Sindarin.
Yeah. So, and like one is Elendil, and so it's like, okay, Elendil speaks Sindarin, and Norolim, which is the phrase Galadriel says to her horse, is also Sindarin. Hurry the heck up.
It certainly seems intentional, and I'm curious to see
not the actual translation.
I'm curious to see what the reasoning is between their differentiation between the two.
Yeah, because I would have thought, because Arondir says that he's born in Beleriand.
Yep.
And we've been told that he is Sylvan, is what he was said earlier, which you would presume that would mean he would speak Sindarin. But so far, the vast majority that we've seen is Quenya. Also, they need to do Dave Filoni-esque animated shows to make this universe grown. His stuff is the best Star Wars, even though it's not live action.
I think like The Mandalorian is great, and I think the Ahsoka show has a lot of promise. I would say I think certain Tales of the Jedi, but make it digestible Silmarillion excerpts could be really good. I think a Baron and Luthien. I don't know about like Clone Wars style, but I always thought that that story, ironically enough, would be really great anime.
See, I'm holding out for live action for Silmarillion stuff.
Yeah.
And to be clear, so folks, we were talking about the Embracer group buying. Basically, what they did was bought Middle-earth Enterprises.
Yeah.
That has the film rights, but that's not Silmarillion stuff. So just, don't like
hold your horses.
Yeah. Don't start, trying to pre-order your Silmarillion movie tickets or anything, because now I would not be surprised if somewhere down the line that, the Tolkien estate does, cross that bridge, and we might get a Silmarillion adaptation at some point. But yeah, I would like to see, I don't know. See, and the other crazy thing is like the rights are, are obviously in two different places right now. So we have Warner Brothers making a film, we have Amazon making a show. So it's not like it's not a 1-to-1 with like Star Wars where it's all in one house.
Yeah, they're just gonna surprise us all and make a Silmarillion game, and then we're gonna be.
I would actually be really pumped about a Silmarillion game.
Be cool.
Yeah, I actually like. I kind of like the idea of film and TV rights being in two different, with two different companies, because it breeds competition.
Yeah, in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah, in a good way, because, imagine if say Warner Brothers ends up negotiating something and they've got film rights for however long or however many projects, and then you've got Amazon making TV shows, and on one side you've got Warner Brothers making movies on the other side. They're going to compete, and fans are going to gravitate toward the good projects. And I think they'll force each other to try to put out a quality product in ways that, maybe a company who owns the entire IP might not. Like, they might, put out shows more based on a calendar than on compelling stories per se.
Mm-hmm.
For Frodo, big fan. I just started my Lord of the Rings channel for Frodo. Well, that's so nice of you to do for Frodo. Sorry, that was really corny. That's a dead joke. Any advice for a new YouTuber? Also, is it true that the showrunners will be writers only in season 2?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. So on the second part, I have no clue. I have no inside knowledge. I don't even know where that rumor would be from. I hadn't heard that yet, that they would be writers only. As far as I know, they're still the showrunners, but who knows?
I mean, a showrunner, in a way, is a writer. So,
well, they've been in charge of the writers' room.
Yeah, I mean, they write. Yeah, I mean, you would have to have a new showrunner then, So.
Yeah. I mean, if they do have, then they certainly haven't announced.
They just got a whole magazine with them on the cover. So
yeah, they did. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I am curious to see, what lessons are learned from season 1. I will say that, what resonated with fans and what didn't, and how, hopefully they adjust accordingly. As far as advice for a new YouTuber, I would say do what you feel interested in. Obviously, you said Lord of the Rings channel, so I presume that you are very interested in Lord of the Rings. I always tell people, starting a YouTube channel, the thing that it came down to for me was that that I knew I needed to do it on something where I would choose to stay up and produce videos over sleep. And Tolkien stuff is one of the very, very few, if not the only thing, that I would go so far as to look at my clock, see it's 10 or 11 p.m. and say, yep, I'm going to settle down for 4 hours of editing. Yeah, so that would be one thing. And like I said, just do videos on things that you like. There's so many times where you can get really deep into trying to guess the algorithm and stuff. But yeah, I've just never enjoyed playing that game, because I'm so often wrong when I think that a topic. I'm like, oh, this topic, people will surely be really interested in this, and then no, and then vice versa. I'll have, like, one time my 4-year-old picked a topic for me, and it was one of my highest performing videos for a long time. So, like, you can't guess the algorithm. Who knows? But yeah. But I've landed on, I oftentimes will pick a topic because I want to learn more about that topic, and it makes it more fun. And the views will come, or come at times, and they won't come at others. And you do have to give yourself a long runway. That's another great advice thing that I've heard from other YouTubers, and I'd say the same thing. Like, I worked on this channel for 9 months before I had a video that really clicked. So yeah, it can be a long time before you really catch on.
Yeah, you've also given good advice before about the consistency.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing that I say. Like, whatever timeline you want to do videos, like what, or you can do videos, whether it's, it could be monthly. Generally, if it's monthly, they're gonna want the viewers will expect kind of a bigger piece, I would think, something to warrant it only coming out monthly. I usually recommend, if you can, weekly, I think is a great, like, that's what I've done. So I have a little bit of bias toward that. Like, I really enjoy the weekly. But yeah, whatever frequency you can do, try to be consistent with it. So if it is monthly and you want to say like it comes out the first of every month, then stick to it so that your viewers know when to expect your stuff. Papa Revan, we got a Star Wars reference. They need to get the OG trilogy writing trio on board. Philippa, Fran, and Peter would add a new depth of quality we really didn't see in season 1.
I don't think that. I think Peter Jackson has earned his rest. Is what I'll say.
All right. And following up for Frodo's last thing about the rumors, I would say you should definitely be discerning when it comes to the sources of rumors, for sure.
Yep.
I'm not familiar with all the sources and rumors, but there's a lot of rumors out there, and yeah. So I'll believe it when it's like in an official publication, basically, or an announcement. Anything else is just purely speculation, I have a feeling. Yeah, so as far as Fran, Peter, and Philippa, I mean, I would love to see, I feel like it's well documented with the Hobbit appendices. You see the stress that Peter was under for the Hobbit films. And, I think, folks who have taken the time to watch those and really find out like how the situation went down, know that, it shouldn't lie on Peter's head what happened with the Hobbit films. Like he kind of had the option of either stepping in and directing them on a short timeline, or it was going to have the plug pulled and everyone was going to lose the work that they were going to have for the next, 5-10 years. Or not 10, I guess, because it was a shortened timeline. But yeah, I think it would be great. I would love to see Peter Jackson back with, whether it's a single film or like a small franchise or something, like even just a single film. I think
they're a talented team
great
together.
Yeah, like there's no question the guy, I mean, look what he did with Lord of the Rings. I mean, for crying out loud.
You guys know that Lord of the Rings is fantastic.
Yeah, you guys know. So yeah, I would love to see him have, get a story like the Angmar Wars. That's one that I keep going back to, that I think could make a great series, or you could probably do it in a single film, or you could do it in like a trilogy.
Either way, I'd love a series of it.
Like,
personally,
yeah, like I think the Angmar War would be legit, because it would essentially be the rise and fall of Angmar and the fall of Arnor, and you'd get, the background for the Dunedain in the north, and you'd get a sense for where Aragorn came from. Those are his ancestors, his direct ancestors. So yeah, like imagine, someone of Peter Jackson's skill and like their familiarity with Tolkien, given a proper pre-production timeline to make something like that. I think we could get something really cool. Christopher, he's probably way gone by now because I'm way behind on the chat. He says he's going to rewatch this tomorrow. So while you're rewatching this, future Christopher, this is past Matt. Thank you for the super chat. Anna Wolf is a new member. Shout out to Anna. Make sure you join the Discord. All right. Mariana, Hi, Matt. Unrelated question. I love unrelated questions. When Durin looked in the mirror, he saw the stars even though it was daytime. Didn't this happen in the years of the trees when there was no sun or day?
I don't know if it would have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But that's what it says in the text. It says that it was daytime. But we also know that the dwarves awoke sometime between the elves awaking.
See, I didn't remember it was day, so good remembering.
And the men awakening. And the men awaken in year 1 of the first age. So
yeah,
presumably that is when, because the men see the first sunrise, because it actually rises in the west the first time. That's a fun little trivia tidbit for you guys. If you want to stump your friends, ask them what direction was the first sunrise in Middle Earth? It was the west. So yeah, that's kind of an odd thing, because I put that in one of my videos and someone pointed out in the comments and I was like, like it says it was daytime. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I need to go back and look.
It could be.
Yeah. It's crazy. It would be really cool to see stars reflected. Like it'd be one of those, if it wasn't such like a beautiful moment, it would be scary to like look in the reflection and then look up and then not see it. It'd be like horror movie type stuff.
Yeah.
It could be day without the sun.
You could always compromise and make it like twilight and like twilight hour.
But if it was twilight, wouldn't there be stars?
I know. Darn it, Tolkien, what did you mean?
All right. Do you think eventually in Rop we'll see Sauron in his look from the battle in Fellowship? His armor is so terrifying.
Yeah, you've already gotten a peek of it.
Yeah.
And you'll see it again.
Yeah, I think we'll see him suited up. It's not the exact same.
Yeah.
Like I have a feeling it's crazy because that Balrog looks so much like the Warner Brothers
disturbingly
Balrog.
Similar.
So much. So I wonder if it's a, like an a la carte menu. Like, did Warner Brothers give them an a la carte menu and say, like, okay, if you want our design for the Balrog, it's this much. If you want our design for Sauron, it's like way more because he's the big bad. And then they were like, yeah, we'll just redesign Sauron.
What's interesting is both of those designs aren't on screen for all that long.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is interesting. Like, I think another reason. So like the prologue sequence in Fellowship is one of the greatest openings to a film of all time, in my opinion. I may be a little biased, but but it is interesting. Like, they cut it in such a way that it never diminishes the effect of Sauron. Like, you don't get, like you get, I don't think you get like a full body, like relatively close shot of him to where it gives you an opportunity to make it feel, less epic.
Sure.
I don't know how else to say that. It's awesome.
So much of it was cut too.
Right. Yeah.
The prologue is cut down.
I want to see. That's where we need the Mithril edition.
Gil-galad erasure. Such a shame.
Although now people have been asking if I should still call it the Mithril edition.
Oh no!
Yeah, the Mithril edition. The Mithril edition of the Lord of the Rings trilogy will heal your wounds.
I won't say anything else.
All right. One of my favorite parts was how they made Mount Doom go off. Water hitting lava is a real reason why volcanoes go off. Realistic. I did not enjoy them surviving a Nue Ardente hot fire cloud.
Just say pyroclastic flow.
See, that's Zalin. Thanks for a super chat, Zalin. Zalin's scared to say pyroclastic flow because I was just ranting about pyroclastic flow.
I did think that was cool. I thought it was like I thought maybe interesting how the elves hadn't like looked around and were like, huh, this is kind of a weird setup. But um,
I just looked at the definition
yeah.
for Nue Ardente,
Uh-huh.
and it's an incandescent cloud of gas, ash, and lava fragments ejected from a volcano,
Literally.
typically as part of a pyroclastic flow. It's in the definition.
Woo!
So we still got it. We still got it. Yeah, no, the eruption was legit.
It's great. Yeah, it was cool. It was a really, I mean, visually impressive too, as most
Yeah.
of the show was.
Like it was a great like dread. Like I've said this before, like I love getting I think a better example of this is the wave when in Muriel's vision where you
Looks
get
great.
where you like get a ground level view. But I also really enjoyed the wider shot of showing like the cloud coming toward them and stuff. But yeah, mass destruction.
Yeah.
Eat your heart out, Roland Emmerich. Blair, thanks for super chat. Do you think that the move to England from New Zealand might actually work for the betterment of the series since JRRT based Middle Earth on European landscape?
I think this is kind of tricky because
Yeah.
Middle Earth is as New Zealand is it's a very Peter Jackson thing, obviously.
Yep.
It's kind of like when you look at art pre-Jackson and post-Jackson for Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. So yes and no. It depends on
Yeah.
what your expectation is. I think places like the Shire, not that I hope that's not in the series, but places like the Shire scream England.
Mm-hmm.
However, places like Numenor, probably
Yeah.
not. I don't
Screams
think, yeah,
Atlantis, you know?
it screams under the ocean. It's, so I don't
Well,
know. Yeah,
and part of the reason, I think one of the points made while Peter Jackson was talking about using New Zealand is the fact that England now doesn't look like the England that
no.
inspired, those tales. Like, it's a lot different. So I'm curious to see what, filming locations they do versus how much of this is going to be studio stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they have said that they are still filming in New Zealand. My guess, and this is just
landscape.
my guess, is that that's where a lot of the landscapes are going to come in. So, yeah,
Yeah,
we'll probably still get a good amount of New Zealand landscape if I had to guess.
yeah, I'll
Yeah,
survive.
I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. I'm just waiting until a Middle Earth adaptation filmed somewhere in America and people can freak out. And I'll be like,
Oh,
yeah, America.
I don't even know where. Like, where could they?
I don't know.
The
I have no
redwoods?
idea.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, where could
The
that be?
Druidan Forest.
Ooh. The
Hot
redwoods
take.
are massive though. As soon as those go on screen, everyone's gonna be like, they're on Endor.
Yeah,
Man,
that's true.
I don't know. We have some deserts and stuff. We could do
Yeah.
like the sands of Harad, maybe
Khan. Yeah.
in a desert somewhere. There's probably other better deserts though. I mean, there's a lot of US productions that they go other places for deserts. They don't even use ours.
Oh
So.
yeah. I mean, and you hope they use Tunisia, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, question for both of y'all. Uh-oh.
Go ahead. Read this one.
Question for both of y'all. I've never read the books, but I have loved this world and always researched the Tolkien universe. What book do y'all recommend I read first? What book A, like A? It says what book in parentheses A. I guess books. I think that was meant to be what
An
book
S.
or books.
I think he's starting to do these typos on purpose to throw us
Stop
off.
it.
He likes the banter that it brings.
I personally think that The Hobbit is a really great starting point.
Mm-hmm.
You're not necessarily at the beginning, like you're not jumping into the Einerlin delay yet, but I
You're not at
think
the beginning chronologically.
right chronologically, but you are at the beginning of Tolkien.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very digestible. It is a children's story, but not in the way that you're thinking.
but it's fun.
It's fun. It's an easy read. You could honestly, depending on how fast you read, knock it out in 1 to 3 days, I would
Oh
say.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's a great, intro, and yeah, it gives you just enough to wonder about certain things, but also it's a really satisfying, beginning, middle, and end of its own. Yeah, after that,
Yeah.
I would just jump into the trilogy, Matt.
Yep. Lord of the Rings. I actually, so I'm going to throw it in the super chat here. I have an entire video.
The reading
That's my
order.
recommended reading order. So basically, mine kind of goes in somewhat publication order, but somewhat reading difficulty order. So it goes Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and then Children of Hurin. Or wait, maybe it's Silmarillion, then Children of Hurin. Now I'm second guessing myself.
I feel like that would be right because I mean, children would be in
Yeah, it's in Silmarillion. I think I put Children of Hurin first because it's Silmarillion has a lot more of that very biblical almost sounding language, like King James Bible type language that
Thou thee.
yes, that can get really like cumbersome. There's a
Yeah.
lot of names, whereas Children of Hurin, you've got a smaller cast to worry about. And you get two of the greatest villains in Glaurung and Morgoth, which are awesome in the
It's
same
a really
story.
dark one to start with for sure.
Well, I'm not saying start with it. Go to Hobbit.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I
Lord
mean,
of the
like
Rings.
before the Silmarillion, though.
Yeah,
But the
it is
Silmarillion
dark.
isn't
Like
exactly a happy tale
it's
either.
funny because I'm like a pretty, easygoing, relaxed, happy kind of guy. But like one of my absolute favorite books is Children of Hurin,
Yeah.
which is not a happy story, but
Yeah.
I love it for its villains because it has some good villains.
It's great. It's great.
It's very tragic. Hades, Death God 9. Imagine. Are you imagining?
I'm thinking
ready?
about it. I close my eyes.
Okay. Watching a fantasy show with wizards, giant fire/shadow demons, and fantasy races, and complaining about them surviving
It's awesome.
the volcano in a prequel.
Yeah,
I didn't know
man.
where this was going.
I didn't either, but
hey, yeah, I mean, if I was like a science nerd, then I would be the same way. It's like the way that I'm a book nerd, and I'm like, why are we forging 3 rings before we do 16?
Was there anything like that in PJ? I don't think there was, but I am curious to try to remember. I mean, they survive an avalanche.
Yeah,
that's probably the closest they get. Honestly, I mean, Frodo and Sam, they cut it really close.
What would be comparable?
I would guess Frodo and Sam being like inches away from a volcanic eruption around them. I mean,
you know what? I think of like some of the stuff in The Hobbit definitely would be comparable.
Yeah.
So like, like the stuff where they're fighting Smaug is kind of like, they do really well against
it's like Mousetrap, the old game. Yeah.
It's Mousetrap. Oh man.
Yeah.
And Bomber's thing, which like, so I watch a lot of times I watch the Hobbit movies through the lens of like, I like the idea. I don't know if you've ever heard this take on it, but imagining that it's being told by Bilbo to like the kids at the Hobbit at his birthday party where he like embellishes and stuff. Like I think that would have been a really cool. It would actually been a really cool way to do it. Like if you had Bilbo as a narrator and he said, especially knowing the history of how the Hobbit was written and then retconned by Tolkien. So like, he tells things one way and then like, within it's like one of the greatest retcons of all time.
Yeah.
And then in Lord of the Rings, it's like, well, Gandalf tells Frodo, it's like, well, what version of the story of you are you talking about? And Frodo's like, well, he told me the real story, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I like, it would be kind of fun if he's like playing stuff up for kids that he's telling it to. And so, like Bomber flipping around in a barrel and stuff. Like that would be like the kind of embellishment you would tell like an 8-year-old kid, like, and then he bounces 8 times
and
and
then bursts out of
spins
it. He
around and
becomes a
like,
barrel.
yeah, he's like
That's funny.
he's a karate barrel, you know. Yeah, I don't know.
And also
I think that's a fun.
Legolas wrote on a stone
Oh
step. I mean,
yeah,
that's
stair stepper.
always. I mean, come
The
on,
stair stepper. Yes.
peak
Yeah.
cinema.
Istari. No good fantasy universe has an anything goes attitude. Tolkien's universe has great internal consistency that makes suspension of disbelief easy. Yeah, and I think that's what makes certain things stick out. So like the Legolas stair stepper thing is probably the one in theaters that I most just kind of rolled my eyes at, because like we've seen him walk on snow, but it's like a whole nother thing, you know, where, and I guess it depends where your threshold is too, like where your suspension of disbelief ends, and like the best ones allow, you know, have a solid, you know, suspension of belief threshold that they're asking you to come in
Right.
with or approach it with. So for me, Legolas stair stepper was one of those where I was like, wait, that's not how that works.
No.
That wouldn't work like that.
Nope.
But you know, but for instance, like Legolas sliding down the trunk of a Mumik, I was like, okay, yeah, like that, I'm good with that. Like that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't think you can just write it off as like, oh well, this is fantasy, so it's fine. I don't think like there you can make like blanket statements like that, you know, and like I've seen a lot of people that are, you know, for a shocking variety of things, they just say like, well, it's fantasy, get over it, which I don't think is necessarily fair either. But for me, like as someone who did not know how pyroclastic flow works, I just thought, wow, that's a big smoke cloud coming for him.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd be like, yeah, maybe that's probably pretty hot. It's been near lava. So yeah, like now knowing the science behind it, like, okay, I get why, you know, science junkies would say, yeah, that's not, you know, how it would actually play out. But yeah, for me, I was just kind of, I just thought it looked cool, basically. So sorry guys, I didn't know about pyroclastic flow. I still don't really care about it that much. Like I said, it doesn't even crack my top 10. So
yeah, it was. Yeah, I guess if anything, to their point, it was just interesting to see how they differentiated between what was going to be like, who was going to be on fire and who was not.
Oh, Matt Warren brings up a good point. Yeah, Legolas flipping onto the horse after the two towers, like that was a weird one.
It's a bizarre mounting of a horse.
Yeah, because like I thought he was going up on the opposite side that he goes
no,
up.
he does a full.
It's like a full like flippy side thing. It's like that horse is in full sprint. So yeah, that was one. If I think that's the only one that I can think of from Lord of the Rings. And I mean, how long has it been since I first watched those movies? But that was the only one that I think even in the theater, I was like, oh, that looked kind of weird. But then you move on to the battle, which is a great little battle.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know, so people really want me to dive into this pyroclastic flow stuff. No more.
Pyroclastic flow. I
No
need
more.
to make that like a shirt or something.
Yeah. Okay. I finally caught up on the chat, so we're gonna
salvage
circle
IP
back.
combo.
We're gonna circle back to this IP combo. So, my question, and this can be for the chat as well. Let me know in the chat, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Embracer has bought Middle Earth Enterprises and they have rights to make some things happen, knowing that, you know, Silmarillion rights are not on the table. Okay. So I'm going to rule that out of the conversation. But with the material in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, what are your dream projects that you would like to see announced?
So this
What do you
is
think?
so no Silmarillion whatsoever.
No, because those are still with the Tolkien estate. So
Yeah. So within
like
the Lord of the Rings.
that could come down the line. Like the Tolkien estate could totally,
Okay.
decide to sell those rights. But for now,
And we're
the
talking
same,
like a
yeah,
movie or a TV series
or games
or games.
or theme park.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you handle the theme park one. No, that's your. You're itching.
I am pumped about the idea, guys. I went down a rabbit hole today. I don't even know what brought it up. I think I saw my old video on like what rides I would want to see.
Yeah.
Or like what my top 10 things were or something like that. If they were to make a Lord of the Rings theme park. Like one was like a ride that was a barrel riding thing, a water ride that was barrel riders. And then another one was like Flight of the Eagles or something. That was another one. I can't. I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I can't remember my specific things because I made the video like 2 years ago. But I would be pumped. And okay, so Zach Attack brings up a point that I think many people will say. A theme park seems antithetical to Tolkien, despite how cool it would be. And yeah, like
Yeah.
I totally get that. I totally get that. Like there is no question in my mind that Tolkien would probably hate it.
Hate is hate.
Because
Yes, probably correct.
Because of he had some thoughts on Disney and everything. So yeah, he wouldn't like it, but I would 100% like it. And yeah, like I whatever. Like yeah, Tolkien wouldn't like it, but having seen like specifically Harry Potter World at Universal, I think is done really, really well. And so a Lord of the Rings theme park done really, really well would be super cool, and I would absolutely love it.
It would be interesting to see.
Like I wouldn't even be that like as interested in the rides per se as
Walking around.
Yeah, as like, can I go into the Green Dragon and buy a pint?
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. I'm assuming it would be a lot of the Shire.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, hard to say. I was thinking, I don't know.
For someone who asked in the chat, yes, Disneyland did exist in Tolkien's lifetime. It opened in, I Googled it, 1955. Disneyland opened.
Sure did. I think it's like almost on. Let's see. Wait, it's 2020.
So that'd be almost 75 years, or no?
Oh.
Almost 70 years.
Old.
Yeah. What an old decrepit place, I'm sure.
We could use some more creature focused projects.
Like such as?
We've already done Smaug, but there's got to be. I'm trying not to get too into Silmarillion, but I know we have
the one rule that I posted here was no Silmarillion, and you go right into it.
I'm gonna break it. No. Gosh, it's hard to say. I mean, what about the nameless things, right? We haven't dove into those.
So you're wanting like scary stuff. See, maybe I'm thinking like it would have like if are we talking about a theme park still?
Oh heck no! I was
talking. I was gonna say okay.
I'm not trying to give kids PTSD.
I was gonna say because there's no like
I want kids to walk past the lake and get grabbed by the Watcher and just get drug in, like.
And then actors playing Boromir and Aragorn start hacking away at it while the kids hang upside down. Oh
yeah, no children being grabbed.
It'd basically be the equivalent of getting picked to have a wand choose you at Harry Potter.
Like you get grabbed
by the Watcher in the water.
That's funny. I think for Yeah, I think you're. I think the most thrilling it could get would be the Eagles, like you're saying. You could have like they could be like escape from Orthanc or escape from.
Are you talking? Okay, so we are talking
I'm
about
gonna I'm gonna
theme park.
entertain your
Okay,
theme park now. I'm gonna hold off.
I think Moria is a given. Like I think one would
That'd
be
be cool.
something like an escape from Moria, and you'd witness like Gandalf fall or something. With
You're in a
Balrog.
minecart watching
I don't
Gandalf
know if
fall.
you're. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I kind of
It
forget
kind of
that
reminds me of
you
the
have to be
Gringotts
like
ride.
in something. You have to be in something.
Yeah, because
It would be kind of fun. Like, could you imagine like not a roller coaster, but like an experience where you actually have to run? Like,
yeah, out of Balin's tomb all the way
yeah,
to Khazad-dûm.
yeah.
Gosh, I don't. I mean, the barrel ride would be like a great water ride, like you were saying. You could do. I mean, so much of it's on horseback. I don't know how you're trying to simulate horseback.
Mm.
Um,
They do some pretty crazy things. I have not seen a roller coaster that's on horseback that mimics horseback.
yeah, I mean
Maybe maybe a carousel. That'd be
a carousel,
a Rohan
yeah,
themed carousel
with the Rohan theme in carousel form.
Oh my gosh,
that would be kind of funny.
That's not a serious suggestion, people. Don't freak out.
No, I mean,
although it could be like a really cute little kid ride. To have
could
a
be
little bitty carousel. Start them young, then they get the I've always said like get them into the books however you can.
Yeah,
and if a Rohan themed carousel gets it done, so be it.
I mean, it's like you're saying with the Eagles. I keep wanting to say like I don't know if you've been on Sauron. Like Sauron and Disney, you could just do it with different Middle Earth locations, like with the smells and stuff. Yeah. So you go for Isengard, you're just getting fumes and sulfur and
cool.
all that. Yeah. But yeah, you could also have a lot of, well, I don't know, like would there be characters walking around? What time is this set during?
So Jake Ferreira says the Avatar ride at Disney simulates riding a dragon thing.
Well, see, I can't get on it, Jake, because the line's too long.
Okay. I did ride that at Disney, and it is legit. Like, it feels like the dragon thing is like breathing, so you can feel it on the insides of like your calves.
Whoa.
It's like it's your calves, not your thighs. Get out of here. Keep it PG. So yeah, like it feels like the monster, whatever. Dragon, I don't know Avatar terms. Sorry guys, but the dragon thing that you're riding is like breathing, and
that's kind of cool.
You could be like a wizard. You could be Gandalf or Bilbo on the back of Gwai here.
That would be cool. That would be sick. You could do that. I mean, you could do it with horse too, I guess. Then,
yeah.
Who am I to say?
Oh, right into the Pelennor Fields or something.
Yeah, it'd be kind of sick.
So Higgy here wants a detective. I love how often like buddy cop, like that's such a like everyone pitches a buddy cop thing whenever you ask for like project ideas. Okay, so a buddy cop series with Tom Bombadil and Radagast. Halfway through, Tom loses interest and Radagast forgets why he's there.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll
sounds like a short series.
It does sound like a very short series. It does.
That's funny.
Middle Earth Total War. Some original stories from the Third Age, more Middle Earth SBG minis, some conned stories / media.
Is SBG strategy battle game?
I believe so.
There's still some really active communities with the Battle for Middle Earth games.
Yeah,
you check them out. It's not the same. I mean, I know those games are they play very differently than Total War.
Yeah,
but
but
there's also still some very active Total War Middle Earth modded communities.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I have the Battle of Pelennor Fields and Osgiliath for the Middle Earth battle strategy game. I have not gotten like the pieces out and painting. I'm very new.
For the Games Workshop stuff.
Yeah,
I've been meaning to get back into those.
All right.
You
So
know,
this
that's the thing is with more IP exposure, the more possibility for more toys.
right. All right. So this is a good so let's bring this up. All right. So Total Timbre says Star Wars and Marvel is filled with cringe and horrible writing / bad lore. The beauty of all the Tolkien fans I found these past years is that they love Tolkien and his lore. Marvel Star Wars went full cringe.
Full cringe. I can't watch it.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
It's
say,
like
because you were just saying that you were watching something.
I
So
can't
I don't know
watch it.
about full, like, yeah, I don't know if I'd agree
come
with
on.
full cringe. I mean, that seems like a very strong blanket statement to me.
But I mean, you're right. The Tolkien fans care a lot about the lore. Not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and like, I think maybe Star Wars is close. In terms of how much people care about the lore, but it is a different beast too. That
Yeah.
like so one thing that I've always liked, and maybe this will help some folks because this is where I've arrived on a lot of this, is the original, the thing that Lord of the Rings has, that Middle Earth has going for it that Star Wars does not, is that the original, the true canon, the true like the source material is in books.
Yeah.
Whereas Star Wars, it's in films. So for me personally, it's very hard to write off, a Star Wars project that I don't like. So
Yeah. Here's the interesting talking point about Star Wars too, is that Star Wars was made in post. I mean, the editing saved that first movie from what I understand in recent years. I feel like Star Wars is kind of always, it gets its footing here and there with its writing. Yeah, so kind of like there are people who have expanded on it really well, sure. Yeah. And George Lucas, is great too, but Tolkien is obviously great and will always be great. You can always go back to the books.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
I clearly, have a bias toward Tolkien here. Like, so no one is ever going to come at me and convince me that Star Wars is like the better story or whatever. But I love them both. So like, it's not
a
like
different love for both,
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a, it's not like you have to choose one or the other, which is always a silly argument. I feel like, like making it feel like you have to choose one or the other. But as I was saying, so I think the advantage is, in the way that I can look at any adaptation of Tolkien, whether it's, a video game or a TV show or a movie, and just for the most part, I can attempt to take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, as folks, no doubt have seen, like I still have issues, and like when I feel things could have been done different or better, like I'll definitely cross that bridge, but I can also write off things that I don't like. So I think a big fear with all of this is that things will get churned out and it'll become a machine, and there won't be the care taken to the story that there should be. And I hope that's not the case. I hope that would not be the case if, we get more Tolkien stuff in development. I hope that they realize, like, okay, there's a finite amount of material from the source material, and we should steward this well. And but on the flip side, like I'm not opposed to taking that risk of there being subpar, because you can't get great adaptations if there's no adaptations.
That's true.
Is where I land on it. And if something is subpar, then I just set it off to the side, move on, And like I said, the source material is the books, and you can always go back to the
I'll
books. The
always
books
be
are
there.
not changed, which is great. Like, I think as a Star Wars fan, it's harder for me to, for instance, look at the sequels and then, because they're films, they're the same medium, to go back and, say at the end of Return of the Jedi and say like, oh, they're so happy partying with the Ewoks.
Only
And then it's
they
like,
knew.
if only they knew how crappy their lives were about to get. And
Palpatine,
so,
hit the teleport
yeah,
button.
but on the flip side, when I watch like Rings of Power and, Halbrand is, Sauron is floating on a boat with Galadriel and they only forged 3 rings, like that doesn't change anything. Doesn't change a thing in my mind because I'm so connected to the books with this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Oh,
for me
for sure.
personally, like it's a whole different ball of wax, but anyway, I've rambled enough about that. My crazy incoherentness, I'm sure. During the 7th, if Guillermo del Toro could do it, would you want a Hobbit redo or a horror series like he's doing now for Netflix or something else instead? I don't know what horror series you have in mind. I personally really enjoy that, and I enjoy also like, like the fact that we didn't end up with a Game of Thrones version of the Second Age with Rings of Power. Like it was, for the most part, like I could watch that with my kids and it was fine. Like they did a good job of sticking with the kind of consistent with like what Peter Jackson's films were in terms of violence and, all that stuff that you want to be careful with around kids. So yeah, I don't think a horror series would be something I'd jump on. I like not having a Guillermo del Toro Hobbit is one of those, like it just seems like it's one of the best films never made,
It's pain.
Yeah.
It would have been great, I think, especially with his creature, work that he does.
Yeah.
I think horror would work in the sense how you were talking earlier about like the Angmar War and stuff. That kind of horror that, you throw in some necromancy in there.
Oh yeah.
There's like the plague, I know, as well. That kind of stuff, but I don't know. I mean,
there's
Barrow
like,
Whites.
yeah, I think there's elements like,
Yeah.
so you could do this in between where it's creepy and scary, but it's not like outright horror. Like the Barrow Whites is a great example of something that would be really pushing the bounds of creepiness for what, teenagers might, like younger teenagers, preteens would be able to take. But yeah, so yeah, Rudy says Lord of the Rings not comparable to Star Wars, even Marvel. For fans, the rivalry is Lord of the Rings versus Game of Thrones, Star Wars versus Star Trek, Marvel versus DC. So yeah, as it stands right now, that's pretty. I don't know if Star Wars versus Star Trek. I feel like Star Wars is like, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased there.
There's
But
not nearly as well.
Yeah, I don't think Star Trek is nearly as big. Like there's debates. Like, so I think there's a separate thing. Like, yeah, fans will debate between the two, but like in terms of, I think we're thinking more of on a one of those, like an all-encompassing, like everyone knows about it. It's much more at the forefront of people's consciousness.
It's just the interesting about Lord of the Rings. People do know, like, it is very recognizable, but it's because of the books, and it's because of, I think, the Peter Jackson trilogy about when it came out.
I do think, I think the trilogy has a big part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess the question is, will it, in 2 decades, will it still be that recognizable of an IP that we're trying to answer?
Yeah.
Like we don't have a Lord of the Rings roadmap like these. I
think those roadmaps sometimes are like a bad idea.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous. People remember them.
Like I would just rather, like, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, how cool would it be if like a movie studio just dropped something like
with no trailers, it would be my
yeah,
dream.
no
It'd be my
trailers,
dream.
nothing.
It would be
Like,
my
could you
dream.
imagine? Like, there's not many things that it would have to be one of these big franchises.
It's what I
that would
wanted
do
with the
it.
newest Spider-Man movie.
Oh,
I
interesting.
wanted, they should have
Yeah,
no trailer or
not
just one
done.
trailer, and then just hit us with all that stuff.
But
I mean,
see, I'm talking like even more extreme. Not even announcing the project.
just dropping a movie.
Like, just like, you didn't know that we made this movie, and it came
Yeah.
out today, and like it would blow people's minds. Like, it would totally, like, people be, especially if it was good, like presuming
Right.
it's good and not a piece of trash, people would freak out and be talking about that for weeks, and
Yeah.
they'd be talking about the crazy strategy, that it was.
Yeah. It's
But
true.
like, it would have to be like a Star Wars or a Marvel or one of those big IPs. It would have to be.
Yeah.
Arfid, which is really close to Alfred, which like triggers up Hobbit PTSD for me a little bit. But I'm glad your name's a little different. No, I'm just kidding.
Close.
No offense to any Alfreds out there. A question. The title for the stream, is it referring to the expanding Lord of the Rings universe in cinematic media? And if yes, do you think we'll ever get more shows after War of the Rohirrim? So War of the Rohirrim is a film. So it's the title for the stream is we're basing this off a Deadline article. And for those who weren't here earlier, basically someone who helped broker the deal for Embracer, who bought Middle Earth Enterprises, basically said that Lord of the Rings could be an IP that would be as big as Marvel and Star Wars.
Right.
And so that's where this conversation is springing from. So we've been talking about what are some dream projects that we'd like to see. We're still kind of working our way through that. We keep going down rabbit holes, but
Oops.
That's part of the conversation. But yeah, so that's what that's stemming from. Like, so the question's been raised in the chat. Would it be capable of being a franchise that rivals Marvel and Star Wars? And how could they do that? And what should they avoid, I guess, in attempting to do that?
Yeah. We've talked quality, quantity over or quality over quantity.
Yeah. I think like if you just start pumping things out, then yeah, it'll be forgettable. Like the core fans will hate it. Like, but if you're putting out a movie every couple years, 3 years or something, where you can pull them off and do them well, then quality over quantity for sure. Joseph, do you think the works of Tolkien won't become an MCU level IP due to being so narrow in its cultural pool of inspiration, English, Catholic, etc.? So I would say the part of the magic of Middle Earth is how universal the themes are that Tolkien tells in his stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been something that I've argued, is that, like, yes, it might, it's obviously heavily influenced by that region of the world, and his faith was another inspiration. But like, I know plenty of people who are not Catholic. I'm not Catholic. And there's plenty of people who, aren't even Christian, and they love Lord of the Rings and they get tons of stuff from it. And like, it's not, you don't have to be English. I'm not English either. I'm extremely arrogantly American. So, the magic of Tolkien is how applicable he is to people in all walks of life.
I would agree. I mean, the story is also, inspiration is there, but remember that it's not allegorical either. I don't know. Look, if someone can get their hands on a big name and make a project out of it and make a lot of money, they're going to. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that. I don't think it's an issue. I mean, in terms of like people wanting to make it, I don't think there's people who don't want to make it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything.
I think people are scared to make it. I don't think people.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe.
I think there are people. I don't think there are people who don't just are like no. Yeah.
No, I think there's great potential. Again, we're gonna keep going back to this, but quality over quantity, please. Yep. So another thing that I even made a video about it, and I brought it back up because of Tales of the Jedi, is animated Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Boom.
You're just dropping it.
Boom. You agree, right?
I do.
I know.
Yeah,
I know you're not coming on here to argue with me on that.
To disagree
on that, because that's the one that I'm like.
No, I
mean, no, it's not the one I'm most excited about because I really like the theme park idea because I really enjoy theme parks. But yeah, I think it would be cool because like eventually someone is going to remake Lord of the Rings.
Be great if it was animated.
Yeah. As much as like it doesn't need to be remade because it resulted in what I believe is the greatest cinematic trilogy of all time.
Yeah.
So like to whoever, would sit in the director's chair and say like, yep, I'm going to try to do this better. It's like, good luck.
Yeah.
But I think an animated series would be cool because it would be a different medium for one. And you could tell it slightly differently. You could include more from the books being a series that was taken out because of, the limitation of film. I still prefer films over series, but but man, I just think it could be really, really cool. Like I said on Twitter and in my previous video, like one episode would be like the Tom Bombadil section of the book that
I think it could benefit from being a series.
Yeah,
in
it
that
gets
respect.
cut from every adaptation, every single adaptation,
except the late Soviet adaptation.
Really?
Yeah,
we remember that. I did the watch party
because Tom Bombadil is extremely giant.
Oh, you're right.
Like, I mean, either he's a giant or the hobbits are just super small.
Interesting. Yeah,
but no, they are in it. And granted, they didn't get beyond the Fellowship of the Ring, but
yeah,
he is in it.
Yeah, but you could totally. I think most people probably don't have a copy of the Russian Lord of the Rings on their shelf, or like are sitting it next to their DVD copies, or Blu-ray copies or 4K copies, whatever copies you might have of Peter Jackson's films.
Certainly not. My question is, do you think that War of the Rohirrim is a test run though? For animation,
not for for animation. Period. Like it
for
it could
Tolkien
be
animation.
Yeah, for Tolkien animation.
Yeah,
it could be a it could definitely be a litmus test of how it goes over. And yeah, so it is anime. Zalin brought up. Yes, it is anime.
Yeah, anime.
Which is a form of animation.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I mean, we could say animated, but yeah, whatever form it is, I like the 3D, animation, kind of like a bit Clone Wars-esque, I guess. I think that would be a cool look. Like I said, I have like the Weta mini epics. Like, look at this Gimli. Look at that Gimli. Can't you just see him? Can't you just see that Gimli walking along, chopping down some orcs in battle? I think that'd be a good look for him.
It really depends on the tone of the show, I think.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, shoot, you look at like Clone Wars is a good example of one that like actually has handled some pretty intense stuff.
Yeah.
In an animated setting. So yeah, I think it could be kind of a test run. Like if it goes over well, that could open the door for other such
Yeah.
projects, an animated series.
And I
Or
think
now I don't think specifically Warner Brothers can't make series. Only
no.
Amazon, for my understanding, only Amazon can make series right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. If it was a series, now if it was animated films, that could be Warner Brothers, I guess. If they get the rights or reacquire the rights, whatever the heck the rights situation
You
is.
know what would be interesting?
I don't. Tell me.
Is if they brought back the original voice cast for the Peter Jackson trilogy, added on scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an animation.
Wait, so they only animate the
Like
added
they
scenes?
no, like it's all animated, but they
Oh,
add
okay.
on
Yeah.
scenes too.
Yeah.
Like they do a
Yeah.
more in-depth version, and it's
Yeah.
the cast comes back.
Yeah.
Could see that happening.
That's another perk of this as a
That's your
possibility is
mithril edition right there.
that's right. You could bring back Ian McKellen and have him voice Gandalf.
Yeah. Except you'd have to, well, granted, you'd have trouble with Christopher Lee.
Yeah. But they have the Count Dooku voice
It's like
artist.
just make him Dooku.
Yeah, I would totally bring that guy in. Like
that would be kind of funny, just in the sense that it's like
that he's
yeah,
has taken the role of Dooku in the animated series, which he did before Christopher Lee's passing, but like
he got the
you know,
sliminess of Dooku down.
yeah.
I won't know if he could get the gravitas of Saruman. We'd have to see. I mean, I wouldn't know.
No, I'm in Dirk.
Yeah,
Deep face voice acting is a thing. Okay,
the
so
AI voice.
Yes. So I'll tell you where I stand on AI voices and AI characters, and that is no.
Get him out of here.
Oh man. So like as much as let me say this. I love Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker. Yep. Like one of the first heroes that like I really gravitated toward as like whatever, a 5-year-old watching Star Wars. So to an extent, seeing young Luke pop up in Mandalorian and stuff was cool, but the CGI like deep fake and the deep fake voice in Book of Boba Fett was just, it's too uncanny valley. Like it's like I'm to the point where it's like, if you're gonna do this, like you need to recast and like bring in an actor that can play that role at that age and whatnot. So yeah, all that to say, like no CG or no AI Christopher Lee voice. Like it's not the same as having someone performing.
You'd almost be in the clear too if we didn't have the Scouring of the Shire.
Oh, to just like reuse his dialogue from the movies.
Yeah. Essentially, but
yeah,
that would be a big thing I'd want to see. So
yeah, I think, but yeah, I'd love to, because presumably in an anime too, we don't replace Radagast with a moth.
Yeah.
So like, so we get, and we would get, we could get Saruman of many colors instead of, just immediate smackdown throwdown. We could get the fact that Saruman creates his own ring, trying to create his own ring of power. So yeah, I think there's plenty of new dialogue that could and should be written that you just, but it would give you the flexibility with a, you could bring back as many of that original cast as you wanted to. And, in cases like that, you might have to recast. And Glorfindel. Yes.
Who could forget?
Khaki Rock says Glorfindel.
That'd be
Sarumandalorian. That's fun.
Sarumandalorian.
I don't really identify those two characters together, but it's a fun word to say.
Yeah, it sure is.
So okay, the one thing we haven't talked about is video games.
Mm-hmm. We both want the same game.
Yes. The huge open world RPG.
RPG. Yep. We both want that.
Mateo wants me to get Charlie Vickers on the channel for an interview. Would be super interesting. We'll see. Yeah. Maybe someday we'll get. Yeah. Mateo, tell Charlie to come on the channel. I will say I did really like, as much as I like all the whole time I was wanting Halbrand to instead be like the Witch King or something, because I thought it'd be way more interesting. I do think like when the flip switched and he became Saruman, essentially like when the jig was up and he switched into Saruman mode, I thought, that his delivery there was really good. Like the whole,
it was great.
I've been, here since before the breaking of the first silence. That kind of moment was good.
His interviews too. You can tell he really dove into it quite a bit.
Yeah, went into Tolkien's letters.
Yeah, Charlie Vickers is great.
Yeah,
acting was good.
So open world RPG.
Yep.
Let's get into some specifics here. What time frame are we talking?
It'd be, to avoid. So I have two ideas with this.
Yeah, not Silmarillion. I told you those.
No, it's not Silmarillion.
It's not
Silmarillion. Okay. It's not Silmarillion. I think after while the ring is lost in the Anduin is an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
That's not technically. That's more, or no. You could have it when Gollum has it under the Misty Mountains. That time period. Okay. That's a bit more safe, I think. Or you have it taking place, and I think this is kind of where it gets into a little bit of Lord of the Rings online territory. You have it take place during the Lord of the Rings, but certain events are coded in to happen at a certain time, and you're either there or you're not. But so I mean that to say, like, so that you could either be as little to as much involved as you want to.
Does that mean you could literally just sit in like Tom Bombadil's house and chill while the whole thing takes place?
Maybe, elsewhere? But or Tom Bombadil might not want you to. But I think it'd be interesting because I don't know. It's kind of like a choose your own. Obviously, it's not going to be lore friendly in the sense that you're there. But I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to, let's say, depending on who you choose to be, you are, a Rohirrim peasant. And you can either choose to be suspicious, kind of along with, you can be outlawed like Éomer is, or you can just kind of mind your own business and have to end up defending your family from all these like Uruk attacks and stuff. I don't know. I think there's an interesting concept there to be as little to as much involved with the shaping of the world around you as possible.
Never done one of these start a Q&A things, so I'm going to see what this does.
War the Last Alliance. Oh, yeah. Huh?
I said, what is your dream Lord of the Rings video game? And then all the questions disappeared. Oh, that's weird. Sorry, just testing out new features live.
I love it.
No big deal. Yeah, so Angel says Last Alliance all the way through War of the Rings. So the entire Third Age.
It's a long time to be alive.
Could call it Lord of the Rings, the Third Age, but that's already been that's a thing already.
It is. But I don't know. I guess that could be the case if you were an elf.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, is like, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see those events unfold, but then again, I don't know. We don't get a lot of the north.
Because then you could go into Angmar War, and we did get War in the North. We got that back in the day.
Yeah, and it was close. It was so close for me, but
yeah,
I didn't like how.
I still really like playing that game.
I like it a lot, and I think it's like the Elladan and Rohirrim stuff is cool. It was just a little too little not. It was a little it could have been, I think, much more open world than it was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because especially around the same time you had games like Red Dead Redemption out. I mean,
oh, were those really that close to each other?
Red Dead was 2009. Surely War of the North was after that or around the same time. There's no way it was before.
2011.
See? Look at that. I want to see Bree when it's not raining. Okay?
No, that's not a thing. Red Dead Redemption's 2010. So they're a year apart.
Only a year,
so they're being developed at the same time.
Still.
Third Age Battle of Mirkwood during the attack on Gondor. Ooh. That'd be kind of cool.
That
feels like it feels like stuff that could have been in a War in the North game. But it was more like original stuff that they did for the War in the North rather than like because it would have been cool to be like, okay, now we're in Lorien and they're coming to attack and we're fighting alongside Celeborn and Galadriel.
Yeah.
Ooh, something in Rune or Harad.
Blue Wizards game?
No,
Lord forbid I say Silmarillion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you could, I think this would be appendices, I think, where it talks about Aragorn. Like because he fights with the Rohirrim and then he goes to Gondor and he takes out the Corsairs of Umbar. Could get a little, what's a good high seas game? Is there such? One of the Assassin's Creed games
Black
was
Flag,
like pirates, right? Yeah.
Black Flag. You don't want it in the style of Sea of Thieves, but it does do sailing quite like it's fun.
You could get some mileage out of Aragorn. Like
my thing is, I think Talion is too fresh on people's minds to do another Ranger game.
Oh,
an elf would be cool though.
I still get the occasional question of why like a certain video. It's like, but what was Talion doing? He was busy not existing. That's what he was.
Yeah, or yeah.
So this is kind of some people might roll their eyes, but I would love if they had a full Skywalker Saga-esque Middle Earth Lego game.
Like
Lego Skywalker Saga that just came out, where it encompasses all the movies, because we never got a freaking Battle of the Five Armies Lego game. It was supposed to be in a DLC, and they didn't release it. And then afterwards, they tried to walk it back, saying, "Well, we never said we were going to release it as a DLC." It was like, bull crap, you didn't. I know I read it. I don't know where. I should have screenshotted it, and I'd still bring it up to this day. I'm still bitter about it.
There was a recent leak. I don't know how real it was, about Lego sets coming out.
That's right.
So, I mean,
how is that not on the topic list? Who made this freaking topic list? That was me. It was me. Yeah. Now you're frozen again. We get to the good stuff, talking about Lego sets, and Keaton freezes.
No, I'm back.
I'm back. Okay. So yeah, there was a couple of those brick heads, which I'm kind of meh on.
Yeah, I don't really care for those.
Yeah, I don't really care for those. But the it sounds like a kind of like Ultimate Collector Series type thing. So think of like the huge Millennium Falcon.
I'd love it. I'll buy it.
So what would you? Okay, I'll do a poll for this one, because
what's my dream Lego set?
Yes,
Minas Tirith.
Yeah,
all the levels. Don't cheat me.
All 7.
Yeah.
Don't you dare make it 5. Don't you dare Lego make it 5.
Like with the mountain range too.
Ooh. Now
it'd be great if it was like if it just had part of it so that you could put it up against your wall.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I would imagine, yeah, that's how they would
You
build
could
it.
have it like flushed against the wall.
All right, so what
Yeah.
other options should we give people in the poll? We've got Minas Tirith.
The Black Gate.
They
Maybe?
already made that one though.
Minas Morgul.
Ooh, okay.
You know people are going to want to buy both Minas Tirith and Minas Morgul, so you have them facing each other.
Yeah, have them facing off.
Um,
Someone's saying Gondolin. I'm telling you guys, we can't go there yet.
yeah, the heads would implode.
So they kind of made a Rivendell, like it was like a Council of Elrond, but it wasn't very big. Like
you
I'm
could
totally,
make that amazing.
Yeah.
Barad-dûr. I mean, like a tall Barad-dûr.
Yeah, that's a good one. It would be kind of similar to the Orthanc one that they had.
Edoras.
I saw a couple Orthancs. Moria. What would Moria be?
That's kind of hard.
Yeah, that'd be a hard one.
You could do Dwerodelf, would not be a justified size though.
Yeah. Let's see here. Shire. Okay. I'm just gonna add Prancing Pony for now. As we come up with more.
Prancing Pony has $400.
Hey, John Campia. Thanks for the super chat.
No, you needed that.
John says Minas Tirith.
You needed that for the set.
For the
you
set.
Gave it away.
Right?
You gave it away.
This is yeah, because these sets are like super expensive. And I totally agree, John. I think Minas Tirith is definitely the way to go. And I don't know if we've swayed or if we are of like mind to the chat. But we've got 45% so far saying Minas Tirith.
I mean, I think it's the best one. It would be the coolest.
It would be so cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, all 7.
No
all
5.
7.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do all 7. And I want the tombs in the back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Rathdinnen.
Yep.
And I saw John posted, I think he went and saw Black Panther, which I forgot was like coming out really soon.
Yeah, I think it's out yet. So you see it early, John?
Yeah. I'm gonna he knows people and stuff. So he sees stuff.
Yeah. I'm seeing it on opening night. So
are you? Is it this weekend?
No, it's like November 11th or something.
Oh, okay. So
the premieres are like happening now, but yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how that.
We'll see.
That one is.
We'll see.
Since we're referencing Marvel a bit here tonight. Let's see here. So yeah, 53% saying Minas Tirith. Rivendell is in second with 23%. Barad-dûr, third place with 15%. Only 9% went the Prancing Pony. I just found it. Okay.
No way.
Oh, okay. This is a fun. This is a fun one. Okay.
A Lego set March Madness.
Yes, right.
I mean, I think Barad-dûr would be cool because no matter where you start, like if you don't finish Barad-dûr, you can just be like, "Oh yeah, they're still building it."
All right. Okay. So Angel just brought up the Argonath, and so I'm totally doing another one.
How did we not?
I'm doing another one. Yeah, I don't know why we didn't think of that.
That's rough. That'd be awesome.
Thanks for the super chat there, Arfid. Jake says, "I love you, Keaton.
I know I
freezing,
do, dude.
Galadriel will keep moving. JK.
That's just internet for you, man. But you can still hear me, so
that's internet for you. Yeah, people. Okay, Gondolin or Angband, guys. We don't have the rights to the Silmarillion yet. Well, I don't have it. I don't have the rights to. We don't have rights to anything, but
you can build it on your own.
But nobody has the rights to those except the Tolkien estate. Yeah, you could build it on your own, but I want somebody to like send me the instructions for it because I'm not that creative. My kids maybe, but not me. All right, let's see what other Mount Doom. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's just like a volcano though.
Well, yeah, but it's
it's an evil volcano.
But and it has like the entryway.
Yeah, that's
and you
true.
could have a little
like
minifigure Sauron
inside
with a ring and everything. Thanks for the super chat, the Podwans.
Podwans friends.
Get
yes,
it? Get it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Thanks for
you
the
guys
super
can
chat.
you guys can send me all this $10 that you're donating. Send me an Ethernet cable. How about that? Send me an Ethernet
Is that the
cable.
problem? You're just not
100%
connected
is
to Ethernet? Okay.
Next time though.
All right, we're gonna add. I'll add Edoras on here.
I think Edoras is solid.
Yeah. Grand. Oh my gosh. That's a good
dude. One. if it swings, it wins.
The meme crowd would freak out if there was a Lego Grand.
Is it distracting if I freeze? Should I go off camera? Poll.
I mean, we can see you now.
Oh, okay.
Plus, we're like 2 hours in. Like we're getting close to wrap up time. So I mean,
guys, next time Ethernet, I promise.
So, all right, yeah. Make sure you hit the votes there, guys. Argonath is looking pretty solid right now.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Argonath, because you can like use it as bookends. You can.
There is precedence for that.
Yeah, so I would build the Argonath.
The Grey Havens. That's a fun
tough one. Because I mean, yeah.
Lego Gothmog bust.
Like the orc, right? Yes. The orc. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh God. Is it when he's mid spit?
Oh, I hope.
Or he spits on the minister thing.
The Argonath with swords or axes?
Probably clearly. Swords if we're going movie.
Yeah.
Right.
But that would be a fun thing for them to change that most people would not notice. Like
or like give you slip it in there like as a dish, like an option. Like you can do axe or sword. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I would see what I would do is like that's small enough that I could custom make, an axe of the right height for that. And I would sub it out myself. Yeah. I couldn't make the Argonath by
Karis Galadhorn, maybe.
Ooh.
I mean, you just have like one big tree.
Yeah.
That could be
it'd just be a bunch of trees. Yeah.
I like the movie design where it's the one, like just one of the trees with the staircase and like the platforms up top. Would be kind of cool.
Yeah. It'd probably be pretty easy. Like I saw they're coming out with Avatar Lego sets, I think. So they'd probably be halfway to a Galathon.
Yeah.
So 51% say the Argonath.
Argonath sweep.
21 say the Black Gate. Mount Doom's got 9%. Edoras has 19.
What about a Smaug? Huh? You want a Lego Smaug?
Oh heck yeah! They had one of those.
Oh really?
It was like a smaller one.
Oh no, I want the big Smaug.
One that can hang from your ceiling. It'd be the first Lego set. Well, not the first, but it'd be a cool one to hang from your ceiling. All right, so let's do so our top 2 vote getters.
I love how this conversation was just us talking about how much we would support big IP because of the stuff we could buy.
Right.
It's just gosh. Forget the movies. I just want to buy more
Legos. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're gonna do a showdown between Minas Tirith and the Argonath.
Gondor makes for a good Lego set. What can I say, guys?
Well, the Gondorians.
Who better?
Descendants of Numenor. Mortal men. They're very they have this quality about them that they aren't immortal, so they want to build these great structures that will last beyond their lifetimes.
And that's how I feel about building Lego
And
sets.
that's
That's
you feel like the Lego sets you build will last beyond your lifetime, like
it will.
like your own descendants will have these 50-year-old Lego sets one day.
Yeah, they might.
Like,
It's super
you better you guys better keep good care of that Hogwarts castle.
cool. Yeah,
That is an heirloom of my kingdom.
Oh gosh, it's a guild.
It's weregild. They shall be bound to the fate of the Lego Hogwarts.
It's like the Peter Jackson even star. If it falls and it breaks, it's so symbolic.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of it's so silly.
A functional palantir is what.
Oh,
Jake says that's what
how
he
would you
wants
do that
out of this. FaceTime, I guess. I don't know. Like,
Face. You put a phone in
Zoom?
the Lego ball.
Could you imagine Zoom coming out with a or one of those
filter?
Yeah,
you could make one. I could look at that. I wish we could have given the dwarfs more, but they make it kind of difficult.
They're very secret.
You could do like the front of Erebor. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. So this isn't a Lego thing, but the dwarves have like their crystal lanterns that are described in the books.
Yep,
that's a book thing. So you'd have to.
You'd almost have to Moria thing.
You'd almost have to work it into a game or a movie.
Yeah.
To then be able to sell it, but we're not. We don't have to be practical about this. We can just say like dream merch.
This is what is dream merch stream.
Yeah. It turned into that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of IP. So
it is. Yeah. I mean,
I think
for better or worse,
to it, no, Lord of the Rings won't be as big because maybe it shouldn't be as big.
Because that sounds like wisdom right there.
Like, I mean, yeah, it's like
that's even better than what I read on my fortune cookie the other day.
What can I say? Caffeine. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's just a fancy way of saying the quality over quantity thing. Basically. Yeah, I mean, also kind of hard when Tolkien is not around, like, for example, George Martin to advise on projects.
Well, I don't think he would have much to say in terms of Lego sets. So.
Oh, okay. We're talking about, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right. He's like, Lego sets are too industrial.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking through the chat trying to see.
You could make a big bag end Lego with a removable roof.
So they do have like
they have that?
I actually do have bag end. It's right there on top of my.
Oh, it's just small though.
Like core books, yeah. See, that would make a cool big one.
But yeah, a big one with like a bunch more
Lego
detail.
Balrog.
Yeah,
oh, this is a great idea. So Minas Tirith comes with a Denethor on fire, and you can hang him from from the front of it.
That's funny.
That would be like if it didn't come with it, like people would totally make it, and I'd be one of those people.
That's funny. That is funny. A lot of good potential with Lego.
Oh, Zalin asks. Frank Barnwell says Lego should have sponsored the stream.
Sorry, we kind
of went down a rabbit hole, but hey, okay, so we'll move on to other. You guys think they'll make Galadriel's dagger from Rings of Power? The only thing I really enjoyed
in Lego form?
No, not.
I think it'd be a great collectible.
It would be
United Cutlery, whatever.
Yeah,
be great.
Like it's that was one of the things. Like as soon as they released that on the poster, I was like, I don't know if this show's gonna be good or not, but that dagger is awesome.
Yeah, it's sweet. I'd hang that on the wall. So
what was the other? There was another. Shoot. There was another piece of weaponry from
that
the
you
show
liked.
that I really liked that I was thinking would be really cool, but now I can't remember.
Was it the axe, like Durin's axe?
Mm-mm.
Um.
Feanor's hammer. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. Then
Yeah.
that would sell out.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I think the hammer would be awesome.
I was like, oh, did you catch up on the chat stuff? Nice.
I think so. Yeah, I think we're
Um.
Narsil. Yeah, that would be cool. We do have
I
the
have
Peter
Narsil.
Jackson
Well,
version of the Narsil. Well, yeah, I have Andoril.
I have Andril. Sorry.
It's not the exact same.
Oh,
Gil-galad's spear, Aiglos.
Aiglos. That would be a great. Especially, I did enjoy its design in this show quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, the dragon helm of Dorloman. So that's Silmarillion, but it has made an appearance in the show. Multiple appearances. I'm pretty sure 3 appearances, which is a lot.
They're saying that they're saying when it appears behind Aarion, when she touches the Palantir, that's like the real dragon helm.
Yeah, that was my theory. It looked like, because it's an actual actual thing. Durin's axe? Yeah, sure.
It'd be great.
I think Durin's axe was in the background.
Assuming that's what that is.
Yeah. It didn't have, like, it was just like a background element. So like the same thing with Narsil, like it's just kind of a background thing. So, I didn't get a good look at the detail and stuff. That's kind of the cool thing about Feanor's hammer and Galadriel's dagger is you get a good, nice up close look at them. So it's really easy to see all the detail and everything, which is a plus. Arc Arapo 1944. Thanks for the super chat. Like the little clone trooper icon there too.
Yeah, he's got the
I need Grand full scale for personal reasons.
What are your personal reasons? You want to come clean?
Yes.
I mean, it would be cool if it swung.
I've seen a lot of people say Tuar's axe and shield.
Oh, for a collectible? Very nice. Very nice.
So people were speaking about the Dragon Helm of Dorloman.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't heard, you might have already, but David Delagardelle, who is a swordsmith, who you may know from maybe Instagram, but I've mentioned him here on the stream a couple times. We are in the process of sketching out Gorthang, Turin Turambar's sword, and we're going to forge that sometime here over the next handful of months or so. Maybe starting as early. We're probably going to start in like December, and then I don't know. It'll come up at some point. I don't know how long that takes, that process, but
yeah,
some point thereafter, there will be a black sword here in the Nerd Cave, and I will show it off, and we'll do a whole video and show some like making of, which will be really cool. And it may contain actual meteorite, which would be really cool.
Now that's a weregild.
That is weregild. Yeah, that is one thing that's like, no, seriously, you should hold on to this.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. Well, we've covered a lot.
We've went a lot of different directions.
We did. Yeah. So we might do this again next week if if y'all hit that like button. That would help us to do it again next week for sure. Yeah. So we'll see what kind of news hits us next week. I think we could probably go on more about this whole, especially after we see, comments and see some of the discourse around this IP conversation. I think, Keaton, we're probably pretty similar mind here that we would definitely prefer quality over quantity. Not, there's a balance there, I think is the thing.
Yep.
you know, they can certainly come out with more Middle Earth projects more often than once every 10 years. But if it gets to the point where it's okay, in 1 year you have like 2 or 3 series and a movie or two, I think you're probably not hitting the quality bar
No.
on the vast majority of those, most likely.
Especially, if it's multiple series too, I would get kind of worried.
Yeah. Because like I said, there is a finite amount of stuff, and you know, granted, I think you could make some original stories done well. Like, you know, you could make some original stories, say in Rune, where we
Yeah.
don't know much about, and it would, you know, you'd have some freedom to play there, and it would be a challenge to like tell a story, you know, that's true to Tolkien, without hardly anything to go on.
Yeah.
Aside from like a couple of notes of that entire land. But yeah, you never know. Like you could end up with something really cool. I think that's, you know, one of the cool things. Like Mandalorian is probably my favorite, you know, of the Disney era shows and everything.
Mm-hmm. It's
And
great.
that kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere and, you know, was not connected to anything that came before it. And I feel like something like that would be similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say what we get. I hope that we get quality. You know, I'm not going to expect everything to be amazing masterpiece, because I think that's probably an unrealistic expectation. But like I said, you can't get great adaptations if there's no adaptations. So you got to take
just
some
find
chances.
the happy medium and just respect the work if you're making it, you know, know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big component.
And in the meantime, we'll wait to get our tickets for wherever that Lord of the Rings theme park opens up.
That, and you can
and pre-order our
pre-order
our Legos. Our
send
Lego
me a Lego
Minas
set.
Tirith. Yeah. All right.
Funny.
Well, Keaton, thanks for joining me tonight.
Yeah,
holding
of
down the
course.
fort with me. And then someone sneaks in a super chat at the very end. They would.
Is it for an
Michael?
Ethernet cable? $10?
I think it is. Yeah, I think
Okay.
I'll use this and I'll send you an Ethernet cable.
Appreciate it.
They should have done Angmar/Dunedain
for the show. That'd be a cool show.
I think that's what he's referring to.
They can still do it. All right.
Oh yeah, there could still be a show. Like I said, I mean, if Warner Brothers gets rights or whatever, wherever the heck that situation is,
yeah,
if Warner Brothers or whoever, they could totally do an Angmar, Arnor, Dunedain trilogy there. That would be legit. I think
is never meager. Michael Schwartz.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Tie it all together, you
know. Zach, bring Men in the West on at some point. Oh yeah, he's been on here a bunch of times. As much, yeah. I don't stream a ton, but yeah, Yoisen's been on here. We did. Well, I'm sure he will be on for a Lotro stream, as will Zalin, soon enough, because it's been a while since we've done that. Bring Keaton back again. We'll see.
Oh, let's go.
Let's pump the brakes here. Don't get.
You got me going out to get that Ethernet cable tonight.
That's right. As you're frozen, we're gonna sign off while you're frozen.
Oh, great! That's awesome.
All right. Well, Keaton, thanks for joining me.
Of
Everybody,
course.
This has been a Nerd Moot. 'Tis a gathering of Tolkien nerds. Thanks for joining in the Moot, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings. And you really are frozen as we sign off.
I love it. Keep it that way. Remember me as I